Hello, everyone. Welcome to another video of Workers Hammer, live from Liverpool from the Your Party founding conference.
Day one.
This historic day, historic event, right?
Yes.
To remake the British left.
Yes.
How would you describe your day one, your Saturday,
It
Eibhlin?
was a historic stitch up. It was the stitch up of all time. It was an absolute, complete, and total stitch up, as a matter of fact.
It was an awful day.
Yeah.
The left got smashed essentially throughout the entire day.
Yes.
And the right wing, which controls the conference and has a base in the conference as well, was really able to just basically ram through the left
Ran
the
through
entire
the
day.
left, and
Yeah.
the effect of the conference itself was to suck the energy out of the entire room.
Yep.
And yes, all in the service of very right-wing politics.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the first thing you saw is when you walked into the conference hall. What did you saw? I mean, the life was sucked out of you because it was. You could see there was a quite substantial block of quite conservative. Conservative on the. I know they're on the left of politics, but conservative in that spectrum. Pro Jeremy Corbyn, quite anti-social, like anti-communist and anti-socialist, quite liberal. For me, the entirety really made me see how Jeremy Corbyn and the clique around him are really behind this project. They're running it tightly, tightly, tightly. And the goal is basically to revive the good old days of Jeremy Corbyn leading the Labour Party just for the sake of nostalgia and feel good, essentially. Because then kind of recreate the energy of that time, but without the mass movement, without the mass enthusiasm, without much of the youth as well. And I mean, sorry, I don't want to be an ageist, but there's a lot of old people at this. I mean, I'm sorry, there's a lot of old people, and it really tries to recreate this sort of little Labour Party that they have lost out of nostalgia and sort of emotional attachment. I think that's what a lot of people at this conference are motivated by.
Yes,
essentially,
it was Jeremy Corbyn opened the conference. Jeremy Corbyn closes the conference. Zara Sultana is completely sidelined, has no role on today's agenda whatsoever.
No.
And so the crowd that was there is, very heavily weighted towards the right wing, which is Corbyn's wing.
Yeah. I mean, heavily, okay, so that's one thing. There is a substantial left wing. There is a lot of leftists, a lot of people who want a radical working class party, a lot of younger element as well, who were there in substantial numbers as well. But because you have this sort of conservative weight, and because the conference is when you say stitch up, I mean, we could spend an hour explaining it. Like the whole thing is run tightly from beginning to end on the terrain that they want. And they really did a great job in making a totally bureaucratic conference appear, having a bit the appearance of, there's a debate going on. But everything you're debating is already chosen and carefully crafted by them. As soon as you step outside the subject they want you to debate, which is usually extremely narrow, you get called out. And what struck me also at the conference is this army of stewards.
Yes.
Security guards, stewards, all circling the audience.
Yes.
Watching for the disruptions or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Private security down the aisles, watching everybody. And a group of conference delegates wanted to challenge the Standing Orders Committee. They went, if you want to do that, first of all, it's not allowed. You must go to what they called the secret room because it's the standing orders room.
Yeah.
A group of 50 people went to try to challenge, the standing orders of the conference.
Yeah. I mean, or they were just told no.
Yeah.
No.
And from the conference floor, people made a number of quite good speeches, making very clear that they were for socialism. This is the kind of thing you got to vote on. Not to vote on, excuse me.
Yeah, because you don't vote anything at the conference.
Anything. But we did get
it's all voted online. So what's the point of delegates? Yeah, we're asking that ourselves as well, which are not even delegates anyway. We're lottery winners anyway.
All the debates, in fact, favored the right. We got to debate. Would you like to erase all reference to socialism in the party's literature and in the political statement? Of course, people did not want to erase socialism. They spoke overwhelmingly in favor of keeping it. would you like the party to be based on the working class and to have that as a central component? I mean, the very fact that these things are up for debate tells you the right-wing nature of the stitch-up.
That they would like to get rid of that.
They would like to get rid of that.
Not to mention the names they've chosen. We've mentioned them in our last video. Like the 4 names that they're imposing on you, you have to choose, because it's so democratic. All of them are so lame. Your party, our party, Popular Alliance, and For the Many.
Yes.
So disconnected at all from reality.
Yes. And another impression I had when Corbyn spoke towards the beginning of the conference, he's opening up the conference, he had all his usual stuff about peace and justice and the many and the few and all that. Not a word of criticism of him about the witch hunt, not a word about the fact that his rally the night before, RCG members were ejected from it. Not a word about the fact that he's been under criticism from the left for the first time in his life. So, it's just as if nothing happened. He's meant to be crowned, but he is in fact the right wing, and the witch hunting is all being done from his camp, organized from his camp, and he pretends like he's just above the fray.
Yeah, exactly. I think what was clear in that throughout that day, there's really 2 conceptions of this party battling. There are some who are like us in this project because we want a radical socialist working class party. We were totally shut out the entire day.
Yes.
And then there are those who want their little pet project with Corbyn and their for the good old days of labor and totally disconnected from society and what's going on. And they're really dominant, or that at least that clique is dominant and leads on that layer, and they were sort of battling it out. However, I have to say the left, I think the problem it had throughout the day is that it was on the back foot the entire day, obviously. Fighting witch hunts, fighting against that entire stitch up. But the left also, I think, lacked a political coherence in many ways.
Yes.
Most of the intervention from the left, who sometimes are making, very good point, very charismatic point, would not go beyond really denouncing the witch hunt, fighting for democracy in the party, sort of taking for good words the words of Corbyn about democracy from the beginning. And honestly, throughout the day, wasn't able, through that fight against witch hunt, to really present its own sort of alternative way forward in general to the party. Some intervention were hinting at it, and I'm not, denouncing the whole thing, but in general, I think the left wing of the party lacks a coherence.
Yes, and I think one of their main problems is they are unwilling to break with Corbyn. You can see from the organized left groups, they have not drawn the lessons of the Corbyn period. It's absolutely true what you say, I think. Corbyn and Len McCluskey and Carrie Murphy want to go back to the glory days. That was the high point of their political career when Corbyn was leader of the Labour Party and they ran things. That was 2015. Not only are we 10 years older than we were then, and Corbyn supporters are 10 years older and they weren't young then, but the situation is different. He tapped into a wellspring of opposition, hatred for the Tony Blair government, opposition to the Iraq war, and so on. But you did not have Nigel Farage and Reform UK. The working class had not, in fact, in 2015, turned towards the far right. But what the left doesn't acknowledge is Corbyn's own the period when Corbyn ran the Labour Party did as much to drive the working class away from the left as as the right wing. So we don't want to get into that now, but
that's a point nobody talks about. I will just make a point. That's a point nobody, like the left and most people at the conference all talk, working class, we're the working class, we're the working class. And nobody talks about the fact that the left is totally divorced from the working class. There's very little worker, I think, at that conference. There's some, but I think very, very little working class presence, honestly. And that's actually the biggest problem facing the left. And neither the Corbyn wing, who wants a peace and love kumbaya party, obviously that's never going to win back the working class, obviously. But I think as long as the left remains on the back foot, reacting to Corbyn, having just these vague points, who are sometimes kind of compatible with Corbyn's politics and doesn't have like a coherent political program to put forward, it's not going to work as well. I think that's the problem. And we're not saying there's no difference between the two wing. We have a clear side with Zara Sultana, but it is a kind of a problem.
Well, yes, One problem being that Zara Sultana was, at least today, was absent as a factor, and has shown yesterday she's not willing to take the fight to Corbyn. But the thing that hamstrings the left, for me, what made it clearest was it was, in fact, in a fringe meeting when Lewis Nielsen of the SWP was speaking. And SWP speakers on the conference floor today spoke quite well, in fact, and it's clear that they were opposed to the witch hunt. They were quite angry about it. Lewis Nielsen, their national secretary, spoke, including against the witch hunt and how...
That was at the fringe event, right? Because he's been expelled from your party, so he wasn't on the conference floor. Ridiculous,
But as much as he's against the witch hunt, he's equally adamant that Corbyn, there must be unity with Corbyn, that Zara Sultana must be, must work in a way that's united with Corbyn. And this made me think Turkey's voting for Christmas. This is the SWP insisting that Corbyn, the witchfinder general, with the nice, peace and love and jam outward appearance, they're insisting that you must unite behind Corbyn. And for me, that just kind of summed up how the left is completely hamstrung in this whole venture.
I agree. No, I agree. Yeah, they kept hammering, oh yeah, we want Corbyn in the leadership, etc. So, their point is that Corbyn attracts a lot of people, which is, not untrue still, although I think that's sort of less true than it used to be. I think what's missed by this is that you can attack Corbyn as long as you do it on clear politics and in a tactical, manner as well. If you just insult Corbyn, obviously you're gonna, that's not gonna work, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it is possible to draw a clear line against the politics you represent, honestly. But that's kind of the problem of the left, because often on many questions, there's not so much of a difference between what he's pushing and what they're pushing, honestly. It's not clear, at least, the difference. Anyway. So you have this conference, total stitch up. We're sort of, I think the way I saw it is the left is basically frozen out of this conference. We can make a few interventions here or there if we can, but we're in a straitjacket. All the questions are decided by someone else. And anyway, we don't even get to vote. So
and maybe just to clarify, like what surprised us? What did we see today that we did not exactly expect this time last night? Mm-hmm. Which was to see how much of a right-wing opposition there was, and not just in terms of numbers, and not just the fact that they control the party, because we know that the right-wing controls it, but some very hard right-wing speeches against socialism, against having any socialist tag, any association with socialism, any association with the working class. At one point when they talked about alliances, someone explicitly mentioned, oh yes, but we would be for an alliance with the Greens. And
they mentioned that they could be open to dual membership with the Greens, but you got to purge the socialist group. Which says everything, honestly, about what this thing is about. So I think then the question comes like, well, what do we do? And there's another day of this. Like what do we do? And I think, we had some discussion amongst ourselves here, and it's like, well, I think maybe we can start with what not to do. I think on the left, there's two sort of big pressure that's coming down on us after that day. And the first one is like sort of ultra-leftism. I think there's a pressure to like, because we're frozen out, because it's stitch up, because the entire thing is a comedy, like it's ridiculous. There's a pressure to like want to disrupt, to want to, I don't know, heckle, to want to go against this entire thing. And there's a good, it comes from a good place sometimes, because it is a stitch up, it is a comedy, but it might not be the most useful and productive way.
Because people are, it's very frustrating to see what's really happening in this conference, and to feel completely powerless to do something about it. But
I think that there's lots of talks about disruptions. Like, the right wing is like, oh, the left is disrupting, and the left is like, it's our only way to fight is to, try to make points and try to, we have no other choice but to step outside the little boundaries that they're setting if we want to make at least one political point. So, but I think the question is not for us how we pose it, is like, the problem is not disruption itself. The problem, I think, is disruptions that are going to be clear for most people at the conference and that are going to be clarifying politically and supported by a portion. And I think the space for this is so limited that all you get to do is like disruption, try to talk about another subject, try to heckle from the floor. And that will, obviously the right wing is going to hate that, but even the elements in the middle that are not like hardened right wingers are getting to a point where, because the left is frozen out, because whatever we do that will not have an impact on this conference, it isn't really understood. So I know there's a debate on the left of like, oh, those who are just conservative don't want to do anything, they don't want to disrupt, and we're the left wing, we want to disrupt. But there is a certain point where it's like there's a fine line between these two poles. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, because you don't want to be seen to be, obedient. We're trying to be good boys and girls in a situation
that doesn't give
where
you
it's a
anything.
stitch up.
Yeah.
That doesn't give you anything. On the other hand, to just act out of frustration in a situation where it's very unclear what the political fault lines are, can just be annoying to people that are very, not particularly on one side or the other.
Yeah.
So you can just be seen as disruptive. And from most of the people there, the delegates, they do want it to be over, So if the left simply annoys them and doesn't make any clear political point, it doesn't achieve anything either.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. I think
so. Those are the kind of what not to do.
Yeah. I think the other danger is the peace. You just mentioned it.
Yes.
It's just sort of accept the framework, accept this bureaucracy, accept this entire stitch up.
Yes.
Or, not agree with it, but say, oh, what can we do? Like our comrades went to the meeting of the Socialist Party tonight.
Yes.
They had a fringe meeting. And it was pretty much what many Socialist Party comrades were saying. Oh, the conference is set up this way. What are you going to do? You have to you don't have a choice but to do it. And, that's really not the right attitude. Or a bit the SWP. Oh, Corbyn, Sultana, we must still have a leadership of them.
They must stick together.
Obviously, no. The point isn't to accept this bureaucracy.
Yeah.
We have to fight it. But I think the issue that the left is facing, and that's sort of a difficult position, is that there isn't a lot we can do to turn this conference around tomorrow.
Yes.
Because we're so much frozen out. There's a hardened block against us, and they've sort of succeeded.
They controlled things.
Yeah.
Another attitude I saw among some leftists was just a kind of denial about the fact that the left has taken control. The right has taken control, and the left has been crushed. So the response was we'll just go back to the branches and we won't implement the witch hunt of the SWP. We will invite SWP members to come to our branches and so on. And, this is also it's not really addressing the problem. It's not really drawing any political lessons out of how the left got to this position. Because that's the real question. Why are we in this position on the left? Mm-hmm. And, that's sort of the beginnings of wisdom, to draw some lessons from this, to just talk about it's led by the members. The members own this party, which goes on endlessly. It's as if the fault lines in your party are between the members and the leaders, but it's not really like that. No. Some of the members are with Zara Sultana, some are with Jeremy Corbyn, and some are in the middle. And the leaders are not united. They have different politics. And so to try to unite them, or to insist that they must remain united, as the SWP did, is really an obstacle to building the kind of party that would be based on socialism and would be for the working class.
Yeah. I think the left is paying the price for not having really established itself as a political force in this party from the get-go. Like maybe there's an aspect that it would have always been a stitch up because it's so quickly and it's so run by the Corbyn clique. But really I think what would have been better was from the announcement of this party, the left constituting itself as a tendency in it with a clear set of politics that they want to get adopted and really campaign on the basis of these politics, which includes calls for democracy, for a more democratic structure. But like the party must have a socialist program. Here's the key points, and really campaign among the members for this program and how it will take a struggle, prepare people for this kind of struggle politically. Basically, that was our thing that we said about Zara Sultana. She should have formed a faction and say, here are my views. I will campaign for them. Join me, and I will fight, in the structure of your party for that. She never did that. She made good speeches. Okay, very good. We like them, but that was kind of it.
Yes.
And so I think the left is kind of paying the price for not having like a coherent bloc that can not only just resist the witch hunt, but put an alternative vision for this party to the, celebration of old Corbyn by that bloc, essentially.
Yeah, I think there's two things the left hasn't done, which we're now paying the price for. One is to seriously consider what to do to win back the working class.
Oh, yeah. It's a
huge question that no one talks about. It's just not considered to be a serious question.
Yeah.
And the other one I think that's coming into play now is they have not drawn the lessons of the Corbyn period. Why was Corbyn defeated? Why was his movement crushed? And, when it came to the lines in the sand by the British ruling class, Corbyn capitulated on every one of them. He caved in on every one of them. Yeah. NATO, Trident, the European Union, you name
Zionism.
it. And on Zionism above all. And in fact, a Palestinian speaker today made a very good point. I thought she made a point about Zionism. Yeah. She said Zionism has been used to inflict a crushing defeat on the British working class. It really matters. Yeah. And she talked about the period from 2017 until 2019. Yeah. She meant that it was used to crush the Corbyn movement, So I think we're seeing a bit of a replay of these questions. People are still wanting, for whatever reason, to cling to Corbyn in the name of unity.
Yeah.
And, but who is it that's driving this party apart? Who is it that's driving the real rift in your party?
Purging the left.
It's the right wing, purging the left.
And it's Corbyn, their representative.
That's where the disunity is.
So why can he, as a socialist, say, "Oh yeah, Corbyn should lead the party"? No, we gotta fight him actually, and it's not easy. It's gonna be hard, but it is possible to be done if you have a clear political alternative.
Yes,
honestly, but that's what the left needs, to build. Get out a bit of just the talk about branch structures, talk about what should be the program of this party and why should it be different than the one that Corbyn proposes.
Yes. I mean, the people in the room today who spoke against the witch hunt, for socialism and for the working class, the job of the organized left is to take that energy and harness it into a movement, but that movement will go nowhere unless they fight Corbyn. Exactly. They have to take the fight to Corbyn. Corbyn is now the right wing. Back to the glory days. Sorry, it's not going back there. The clock is not going backwards. It's going forwards. And as we said last night, Corbyn, Zara Sultana pursuing unity with Corbyn is a bit like a rerun of Corbyn refusing to break with Tony Blair and the Blairites. And, here we are 10 years on from 2015. Situation is not good, but to begin to regroup the forces that would, form a workers' party, I think we have to look at some of those lessons.
Yeah.
There may be some things that we can do tomorrow, but at least I think it's a good thing to start with what not to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't make peace with the bureaucracy. Don't do ultra-left stupid stunts.
Yeah.
I think, look, it's still important to try to speak on the conference and to push back against the right, but however, it's going to be very difficult.
Yes.
And it's going to get even more and more confusing because when you push back on these organizational questions, whatever the democratic socialists think, it is not clear when you scream that 40% of money to the branches isn't democratic. This isn't obvious to people.
No.
It doesn't make sense.
No. In and of itself, these questions are too narrow on which to wage the political fight, and it obscures what the real dividing line in the party actually is. There are political differences within the party. The right wing has obscured them, and so the job of the left is to make them as clear as possible. So that doesn't mean fighting over every single question, like what should be a quorum in a branch.
So I think that clarity, there's going to be a very difficult fight for it tomorrow. We on ourselves, we plan to try to spend a bit less time trying to speak absolutely on the podium. We tried a lot today and didn't work. But we want to speak more to the people at the conference, try to engage debate and discussion with them on, any side, right wing, whatever, center, left wing, try to get to understand a little more what they're thinking, where this thing is coming from. And I think we should use this opportunity. There was the fringe event of the CPGB tonight with all the left there, the entire left is in Liverpool. Let's take the opportunity to have more discussion amongst ourselves, because it's obvious that the left has to work together and find a way to coordinate its intervention. I think that makes it clear.
And I think we have to have some difficult discussions in the left. Discuss, take on some of these hard questions. It's, it just does not work to go on avoiding them.
I think this point on the working class that you said is so true. Everybody at the conference talks the working class. There's no workers. Anyway.
No.
The left doesn't have workers.
The working class sees the left as part of the liberal establishment. And until the left wakes up to this fact and sees that it is a problem that something must be done about, it's very hard to go forward. And it's very hard to go forward if they're not prepared to fight against, take the fight to the Corbyn clique and the politics on which the Corbyn clique is based. It's not about Corbyn's wonderful personality or whatever. There's real politics there.
So maybe some people will think we're conservative, we're giving up or whatever. No, we're not giving up. We're just kind of being realist about the balance of forces. It doesn't mean we should stop fighting the witch hunt of the SWP, or we should stop fighting that bureaucracy. Obviously not. So fight for clarity, I think, politically. On the conference floor, if you get to speak, push back against the witch hunt. Try to make those political points about what kind of party we want to build, a liberal tepid party or a working class radical option. Call out the witch hunt if possible. However, I think that's going to be quite difficult. So I think our thing is let's forge links in the far left. We're going to need that.
Yes.
Because obviously they're coming for us.
Yes, and begin to draw the lessons of how did we get to where we are today with the Corbyn movement and what to do about it. That would actually be a step forward. If nothing else came out of this, the left at Liverpool, but they actually realized something that we're doing is not working. That would be good.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well,
okay,
we can conclude on this.
Yes.
Follow us for more. We can't promise a video tomorrow night because we'll probably be on the train, but we'll certainly do a broader assessment of this entire conference and experience in your party.
Yes.
At some point in the not too distant future. All right. Like the video, share. Bye.
Bye.